Hey, what's up, guys? Okay, we're back in the Visual Studio Code. So we're going to move on to part two, and this part's going to involve pulling stuff from .env files. So see, I've got a couple of comments here for pull from .env file, and what the env files are they're basically they set environment variables. So we're going to install the dependency python-env, which is going to handle that for us. Basically allows us to not have to store our passwords in plain text in the code. It allows us to do it in a separate file that we don't push the source control. So we've just done a pip install of our requirements.txt with that new python.env dependency in there. We're going to create a .env file. Remember to misspell it. That's very, very important. And in this, we're going to set our environment variables. So basic best practices are to use all caps when we're setting an environment variable. So you put the environment variable name, an equal sign, and then you would put the value you want it to store. So for instance, here we have dev username, which is Calcian, dev URL, which is the URL we will be pushing our content to, https://dev.to/new, and then our dev password, which I am not going to show on camera because you guys are web scrapers. You're interested in gathering data, and you know what? I'm just not going to give you mine. So we're going to move away from this. We'll come back. We'll be in push.py in the main project. So here we are back in push.py. We're back in our file. So now we are going to start pulling things from our .env file. So we're going to type in clear to clear the console so we don't have a bunch of old data all goffing up. Then we're going to use the os.getenv command. So to do that, we have to go up and import the os module. And we're going to use the getenv to get our environment variables, and we're going to pull dev URL for our source URL, and then in driver we are also going to be switching over to Firefox. The reason for that is in Chrome, emojis are an important part of my particular blogging lifestyle, and emojis are not supported in Chrome's WebDriver for whatever reason. So we're going to be using Firefox. There will be a link to how to install the Firefox Geckodriver in the description so that we know how to use Firefox instead of Chrome as our WebDriver. So we're going to import selenium.webdriver.firefox.options, and now we're in the WebDriver API doc, which is exactly what we want. So we're going to be looking in the docs. Again, never ever let anyone tell you the docs are for noobs, because the docs are written for a reason by the people who use and built the library, so they are going to be our best source of information. If we can't find it there, then of course we can Google stuff. But here's what we're going to be using. We're going to be using Firefox WebDriver. Looking over the docs here real quick, it just shows us some of the options that we have to use for Firefox. We have our Firefox profile, which is how we're going to adjust our user agent. And we also have all the binary files, the extensions, how we deal with connections and extensions. So we've got all sorts of good stuff here in the Selenium Python docs. And once we've looked through all that, we're going to go back into our file, our push.py file. And then we are going to find out how to change the user agent in Firefox. Now, these are the kinds of things that I just forget on a daily basis. I have to Google things like CSS breakpoints and basic stuff all the time because I just forget the syntax. So we're going to go to allselenium.info, which is a great place to get Selenium for a bunch of different languages information. We're going to put in Firefox profile as our options rather than just Chrome options. So we're going to look at the syntax here, and we're going to use webdriver.firefox options. And then we're going to do options, add argument, which I'm typing this right now and it is 100% wrong. We're going to have to go back in because it is actually set preference, not add argument. And we're going to be overriding the user agent. Now, I'm going to let myself type this out so you can see that even experienced developers make mistakes like this. We look too quickly at docs. We don't look at things right. We don't see them clearly. So I'm going to let you watch me make this mistake and correct it, because that's what development is all about. It's all about making mistakes and fixing stuff. And we found it, set preference, not add argument, and we can move on with our lives. And we're back. So I found the problem. The problem was I didn't actually load the environment variables in, which can be done with the load_.env function we've got here that actually loads everything we put in that .env file. And it wasn't loaded before, which is why we weren't actually putting anything in. So let's load those up, put this in. There's the dev welcome screen. There's our sign in. And there we are. We are logged in now with our environment variables instead of putting things hard-coded into our code. So moving on to the next step, we're actually going to post something up to dev.to. We're actually going to quit all these stupid little Firefox thingamawhatsits. I don't know why they hang out on my Mac. Somebody put that in the comments section as to where those go even once the WebDriver is closed. And the next thing we're going to do, we're actually going to clean this up. It works, but it's ugly. So I'm a huge proponent of modular code, of putting code inside functions and inside classes that are meant to handle these things. So what we're going to do is we're going to define a new Python function here called load and sign in, which is going to handle exactly what it sounds like it's going to handle. It's going to handle the opening of the WebDriver, the loading of the WebDriver information, and the signing in to dev.to. We're just going to take that code, give it the quintessential 4 spaces that Python requires, and then we're going to put it in that function. Now, the main logic of our program is going to go below all of our declared functions. So we're going to take our options, we're going to take the driver declaration, we're going to take all of that stuff, and we're going to put it at the bottom of the file. That is how I've always done it. That's how I think it looks the cleanest. So we're going to put our function at the bottom of the file so that it actually executes when we run the file, and we're going to put all sorts of typos in there because we're cool that way. There is a gotcha for this where you have to actually, it forces you to sign into GitHub and provide an OAuth code to confirm your device. I actually have that URL right here. It's github.com/sessions/verified device. So we can actually build in something that's going to check if we are redirected to that URL so that we can actually provide the code that gets emailed to us. So the best way we're going to do that, we're actually going to define another function after we put this down at the bottom where all of our program logic is. So we're going to define a function, and we're going to call it verify device, but instead of an underscore, we're going to put open and close parentheses. And here we go. We will check. So we're going to use a conditional and if statement, driver.current URL, which is the website that we're currently on. And if it equals the verify URL variable that contains that GitHub session. And if you use Twitter to sign in, when you get redirected, just copy the URL in there so that you'll have whatever the URL is you get redirected to. And if you sign in using just your email, you won't have to worry about this. Only OAuth you'll have to care about. So then we're going to put in verify code, which is an input, which basically means the program is going to stop until you input a value or press enter. So what we're going to do is a code was sent to your email, paste it here and press enter, then we're going to put the new line character. So what we're going to want to do if we ever get redirected to that GitHub OAuth confirm device page is we are not going to want to put the code in the web browser field that's provided. We're going to want to provide it to our code so that the program that we're building here, the scraper, will keep running. So we're going to do the verified device, and then we are going to put in what we've got there. And I was unable to replicate this going forward, so I'm just going to go ahead and put this code in here. I had already verified my device, but suffice to say, we're just going to find the element by its XPath where we want that code to go, which is going to be that XPath there, the ID of OTP, and then we're going to enter the submit button, which I've already got the XPath for that as well. After we, of course, send the keys, which is the code that we're going to be sending to the browser, which we're going to get with verified code when we type that into our command prompt when we run it. Then we are going to not define a submit button variable because we're only going to be using it in this one context. We're not going to be spreading the variable around. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to do a driver find element by XPath. And I already have the XPath from when I was doing this earlier, which is going to be that submit button. Make sure you get your quotation marks proper. And then we're not going to define a variable. We're just going to add a click event at the end. So the driver is going to find it and then click on it. We're not going to be storing that XPath in a variable, and that will check if we are on an OAuth login page, and it will handle it if we do. So we've got that function taken care of. We've got that functionality taken care of. So now we can defeat the OAuth verification. We just put the code we get in our email in there. And now we're going to define another function, which is going to be actually to upload our post. So to upload our post, we are going to define a function, and we're going to give it an argument. And that argument is going to be the post's file, which in this case is testpost.md in the markdown file. We're going to do some file IO, which is with open the post file. We're going to open it as read because we do not need to edit it, and we're going to do that as post. And then we're just going to return the post content, so post.read, that we can then submit it to send keys later. Now down here, we've got a lot of business logic going on, but we aren't actually going to be handling any exceptions. So if anything goes wrong in this process, it's just going to fail, and we're going to have to go through the stack trace to figure out why. So what we ultimately want to do here is that needs to be deleted, what's currently on dev.to's page. And we've replicated that in our markdown file because that's just basic markdown. If you don't know markdown, I'll be doing another video about basic markdown later. So we're going to get the XPath of the field that we're going to be submitting keys to, basically where our post content is going to go. Why? So what we're going to do is we're going to put an endless loop here. We're going to do a while true, which we're going to break out of on success. So we're going to try to do the load sign in or load and sign in function, which just basically brings us into the dev.to sign in into the dev.to/new page. Then from there, we're going to check the verify device. So that if statement up there has no else clause. So basically, if that current URL is not the verify URL, that function's just going to return. It's just going to return true, and the program's going to continue. And then from there, we're going to actually find the XPath of the post that we're going to want to put onto dev.to. So the content that we have in there, we're going to call that post content, which is going to be our post.read. But then we're going to actually use that XPath that we just copied to find the page element, the DOM element that contains the post information that's currently in there by default with every new post on dev.to. So we can do find element by XPath. We're going to get that XPath again just to be sure. I'm not sure if I did a copy and paste outside of this. So we're going to put that XPath in there. So now we have that content field. Then we're going to do a content field dot clear, which is going to delete everything out of that form. And then we are going to do content field dot send keys, which is the post content variable that is basically our markdown file being read into memory. And then we've got everything we need to make this happen. So then we're going to do the upload post function, and we're going to misspell stuff because typos are super awesome. We love typos. Then we're going to break out of it if this is successful. So basically, once the post is uploaded, we are going to break out of that infinite loop, and our post content will actually be on dev.to ready for submission. Now, if we cannot find an element, which is usually because the page hasn't loaded all the way yet, we're going to import the no such element exception from selenium.common.exceptions, and we are going to check for that exception specifically. That's going to be our one exception clause we're going to, or our error message that we're going to check for specifically. And what we're basically going to do with that is we're going to do in a WebDriver implicitly wait. There are explicit waits where we can wait for a particular DOM element to be loaded, but it involves a lot more characters of code than just a simple 3-second wait. Now, seeing as this isn't like timing critical, like it doesn't have to be exact, I just do an implicit wait of 3 seconds because most pages are going to load that quickly anyway. And then any other exception that we're going to put down there is going to be just an exception as E. We're going to print the exception, and then we're just going to break out of that loop and end the program so it doesn't endlessly try to upload something to dev.to and cost that web service bandwidth. We're going to quit out of all of our fun little Firefox web drivers that have loaded up here, and we're going to do this entire process from the beginning. We're going to run our code, and we're going to see if we can upload something to dev.to. All right, so here we go. We're going to type in the upload post. We're going to add that argument, which is test_post.md, our markdown file, which contains all of our code. You'll see the title. We're going to set the publish to false because this is just a test. If the publish were set to true, we would when we hit the submit button on the form, we would actually put that online. False means it's going to be uploaded to dev.to. It's just not going to be publicly viewable. So there we go. Boom! Got our post into the website. We've uploaded it via Selenium WebDriver. Now we're going to get the XPath of the button that saves the changes. We're going to copy. We're going to do XPath. And we're going to go back. We've got this up. We've got our emojis. Everything's looking great. And then what we're going to do is we are going to get that button, and we are going to send a click event to it. Driver find element by XPath, get the XPath, and then .click, which is going to hit that save changes, submit changes button that will actually get everything posted with emojis. And I'm just going to do test here to let you guys know and see that it actually does get uploaded to dev.to. So here we go. Firefox WebDriver opens. We get to the dev.to sign-in page. It signs in. We clear out what's in there, put our own stuff, saving, and boom, we are uploaded to dev.to. We've uploaded our blog post. It has emojis. It's been auto-uploaded. We didn't have to copy and paste it by hand anyway. That's ultimately what we did in. And now you can post to dev with a WebDriver. I bet you thought that I wouldn't do a piece where I talked for an hour because I got straight into the code. Well, you were wrong. I am just gonna do a quick outro here, guys. The big thing is we've got it uploaded. We've got things uploaded to dev.to. We can do it with just a script. We write a post. We put the post name into our upload function, and we have it done. So the project is halfway done. It is to the point where it is working and it is functioning. Now, right now we have a couple of things. We have very minimal error handling, and we don't have a whole lot of features. We don't have any way to edit and upload edited posts from our desktop. So we're going to cover that. Next, we're going to learn about file hashing. We're going to learn about how to tell if a file has been edited, and then how to edit it back on dev.to. So I'm going to be back with you guys. I'm going to try to upload videos in Practical Web Scraping about once a week, and you'll see me sooner if I can get around to it. And if I can do it a little quicker, I will. But we've got what we came here for. We've got an auto-upload web scraping tip. I really, really hope you guys have enjoyed it so far. Please, please, please remember to subscribe, like, hit the notification bell. Make sure that you guys are telling me that you like this content. Otherwise, I don't know what to produce. And as always, fly with the flock you choose, because we ducks are going to be in this together. So stick around. We're going to do this a little bit more. This is Jake the Code Duck signing off. Bye.